All right, y'all. Merry Genocidal Christmas, because that's what it feels like. Okay. Sorry about my eyes. I've been crying my balls out nonstop. It's been like that for a couple of days now, falling asleep like that, even yesterday. Just getting ready for receive my kids. Yeah, I just like this hasn't stopped. Okay, actually got more brutal as we speak, because obviously they still think they're gonna get away with things, but the Most High has a specific message for y'all today, especially it's Jesus' birthday. Happy birthday, Jesus. I wish a lot of people have the gift of sight, to be honest. But then sometimes in the spiritual realm, even that you wish you don't see. But I thought that it was gruesome what will happen in the spiritual realm. But then when you look at here now, and every day is just gets worse and worse. Yeah, it's a lot. Yesterday I got my kafia and supported a Palestinian organization to help them donate necessary help for medicine and food and humanitarian aid. So I felt really good, but I don't know, yesterday was just harder to even like with my daughters, you know. And that too, also realizing that my fridge broke down. Has been broken down, but I just realized yesterday. So that's why I was like, okay, another situation. So that when they can't attack you physically or any type of way, they attack anything else around you. My fridge. Anyways, I'm sure that whoever is doing this, you're probably laughing and thinking like, yes, finally got them. I feel like you're gonna be saying yes while you rot in hell multiple times. Your worst fear is going to be shown to you as a form of torture further in purgatory. May God have mercy on your soul. Okay? So yeah, I don't want to make this too long because I don't want to take away the videos that God wants to show you guys through here. He specifically guided me this morning to make sure I get them right, make sure that I do the right things, so do the right editing and stuff like that. Especially it's his birthday, so I will do anything for Jesus' birthday, especially when I saw what I saw after I fell asleep last night in my prayers and cried myself to sleep. Yeah, a lot of us, you thinking that all this going on, that they're winning and stuff like that, that is a tactic from the pit of hell, and I rebuke it in the name of Jesus. Okay, in the spiritual realm, there's God already won this. He keep winning every single time. Okay, God wins the war. These people win the little battles and stuff like that. Not really, because they, at the end of the day, they're just exposing themselves, right? And a lot of y'all, I think you have enough evidence by now to understand that silence right now and ignorance is violence. Okay, and I already repeated already. Tomorrow, make sure that you're not buying anything. Make sure that you're buying everything. I know today all the stores are not open, but whatever it is that you need, I hope that you have bought it yesterday. Okay, by the time I'm doing this is a timeless reading. Okay, reading message, Clamoria, intuitive message, whatever you want to call it. Okay, we definitely need to be giving a little bit more pressure, not fall into like, oh, you know, they're able to take a huge account like Sean King's. Okay, that's their tactic. Okay, I'm going to explain to you a little bit what that means. Here we go.
There's a reason why people are silent. There's a reason why Joe Biden is able to do everything he's doing and still sleep at night. There's a reason why people are able to defend genocide. It's narcissism. White supremacy is a byproduct of narcissism. I made a little Venn diagram that's a circle because there are no differences between white supremacy and narcissism. First, we have the tragic victim complex, which we're seeing loud and clear every single day on this app. White people make themselves the victim because when you're a victim, you don't have to be held accountable for the oppressor's actions. This is done both globally and interpersonally. Like, we are seeing propaganda from the Israeli government to make us believe that they are the victim, even though they are obviously not. We also see this with white women tears. Next, we have lack of empathy. This is how some people are able to watch a genocide on their phones and somehow go about their normal lives and stay silent and say it's complex. It is because they lack empathy. And as we are all being indoctrinated into white supremacy, one of the first things it does is it attacks our empathy. It's also wild to watch how whiteness has more empathy for fictional characters, celebrities, dogs than they do for Palestinians. Next is sense of entitlement. Both white supremacy and narcissism makes you feel entitled to land, money, comfort. The result of whiteness not receiving what they feel entitled to, it ends up deadly in so many situations because they feel entitled to power. They feel entitled to land. They will commit genocides to get land. That's the heritage of whiteness. Next is the bread and butter tool of narcissism, which is gaslighting. We're obviously seeing this with propaganda. We're seeing this with celebrities. It's interesting because celebrities spend a lot of time establishing power. Then when important things happen, they pull back and act as if they do not have power to change or influence. They spend their lives trying to gain influence, and the moment we need them to actually use that influence, suddenly they don't have it. A post won't change the world. We're on this app seeing what's happening with our own eyes, and then our government officials are telling us that what we're seeing isn't real. Even Joe Biden is trying to plant seeds of doubt around how many Palestinians have been unalive. They are doing whatever they can to make us doubt what's real, what's actually happening. Both narcissism and white supremacy cares so much about image. This is why all of our white friends who were BLM are silent. This is why. They cared more about appearing good to you than actually caring about BLM. They cared more about appearing woke than actually being safe for Black and brown people to be around. They care more about how they look than how you feel. It is everything to them. They want to be perceived as good, and not being perceived as good feels like hell. They don't want to post what's happening because they don't want to be controversial. They don't want to get in trouble. They want to look good. This is why they rewrite history. They want to be remembered as good even when they weren't good. If you're an American at all, you know how our politicians occasionally do nice things to gain approval. Politicians love to do this. It's like we're asking for one thing, but you give us the other thing that's not quite the thing that we wanted, but at least it's something and we're supposed to be happy with the something. And they use that to paint their legacy. Like when I criticize Trump, people will say, well, Trump got his stimulus checks. It's like, I'm glad that we got those, but we deserved more. All of us deserved more. Then in the middle of them oppressing us, they do these nice things and we're supposed to be happy with them for some reason. Difficulty taking criticism. I feel like those of us who are from marginalized communities, we experience this a lot on an interpersonal level. And we see it when big things happen in the world and we're critical of our government, of different systems that are put in place to keep us safe or provide for the people. When we're critical of the villain system, suddenly we're the villains. This is also because whiteness thinks it's at the pinnacle of self-awareness, of intelligence. It thinks that it's the standard. They're beyond reproach. As Black and brown people, we're criticized constantly. So we have so much awareness of everything that's wrong with us and our communities. But if you do that to whiteness, you're a terrorist. Next, we have that they depend on nostalgia to keep you bought in. We see this a lot at like the Olympics and different sporting events. Like they want us to remember how great it is to be an American. Whiteness also loves to use nostalgia to fearmonger because when we're afraid, they're able to control us. The willingness to exploit is what they do best. To even survive in capitalism, which serves whiteness, you have to be willing to exploit. Like that is part of it. The reason why so many of us are okay with the exploitation of others, it's because we're being exploited ourselves. Next, they like to rewrite history once you leave. The US likes to rewrite history as it's happening. Whiteness and narcissism takes the person who's the victim and paints them as bad, or they paint the villain as good. They'll say things like, but my family was nice to their slaves. Like they were nice slave owners. They lie to create the narrative that they want. Even the amount of celebrities and public figures and politicians who will try to act as if they were pro-Palestine the whole time, there will be so many over the next 5 years. This is why one of the best things that we can do is simply remember. Remember Amy Schumer, remember Selena Gomez, remember these people who are being horrible. We know that they're going to try to rewrite history. This was something that was actually studied by Dr. Carl C. Bell back in the 70s. He was a Black psychologist who wrote about the links between narcissism and racism. He talked about whether or not racism is just an expression of narcissism.
Okay, hope that's clear. Make sure that you're following and you clicking on the links of those videos that I will present here. Okay, they're able to show you deeper sense. I'm hearing Psalm 67. Psalm 67. Exhortación a las naciones para que alaben a Dios. I don't know. Something about Psalm 67. Okay, a lot of you need to be doing that. It's very short. I have it in Spanish. Maybe I can look at it in English. One second.
Anything worse than Israel dropping white philosophers on the people of Gaza? Yes. This is depleted uranium, and this is a fan favorite of the military because this stuff can bulldoze through armored tanks. But this stuff is radioactive. It is the byproduct of the enrichment process. And back in 2015, the European Parliament came out with this report. There is now enough evidence to prove that Israel has repeatedly used depleted uranium weaponry. Such was the case on a large-scale massacre that took place in Gaza, August 2014. Now, the United States is really familiar with depleted uranium because we use this stuff on Iraq, Syria, Lebanon. So the city of Fallujah in Iraq started documenting cases of babies who were born with malformations. About 15% of all babies that were born after 2010 had a deformation. Some of these babies are born with their intestines outside of their body. They have holes in their hearts, cancers. Now, this stuff isn't as radioactive as enriched uranium. The stuff, it emits alpha particles, which can't penetrate your skin, but you explode that stuff and make it airborne, and you've contaminated an entire population of people just from breathing it in. This stuff not only causes liver and kidney damage, this stuff can get into your DNA, causing cancer, and the other one, reproductive toxicity. We'll get back to that later. This article stated that thousands of tons of depleted uranium bombs were dropped in Gaza. Uranium is placed inside of these bullets, and this stuff can penetrate tanks. One of the makers of this DU weaponry that provided it to Israel was General Dynamics. They also sold to Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey. And then recently, we just sold this to Ukraine to use against the Russians. This is a vile chemical weapon. Doctors in Iraq are even afraid to speak out when they're seeing all these cancer cases and all these birth defects because they're afraid of being called a terrorist. Imagine being a healthcare professional and being afraid to advocate for your patients. If you're still with me at this point, I'm going to wrap it up and tell you why I went down this rabbit hole in the first place. I saw this report where Israeli soldiers are now concerned about their fertility caused by their war in Gaza. And I was like, why would they be concerned about fertility after fighting in a war? It's because they're dropping chemical weapons, and they have to breathe that shit in too. And they're like, oh no, but our fertility. Just to kind of put this in perspective too, if you think that exploding that toxic material in such close proximity to your own people isn't going to have any effect on Israeli citizens that are just a few miles to the right, there's just the stupidest fucking move on the military's behalf. This stuff is seeping into the groundwater, and you think it's going to have no effect on any of your citizens. Any of you assholes are thinking about buying up that beachfront property in Gaza. I hope you have really good health insurance and you enjoy chemotherapy.
Okay, so Psalm 57, and it reads, I don't know what he's saying. May God be gracious to us and bless us and makes his face shine on us, so that your ways may be known on earth, your salvation among all nations. May the people praise you, God. May all the people praise you. May the nation be glad and sing for joy, for you rule the peoples with equity and guide the nations of the earth. I love that I'm reading this and he's downloading messages at the same time. God, you're funny. May the peoples praise you, God. May all the people praise you. The land yields its harvest. God, our God, bless us. May God bless us still, so that all the ends of the earth will fear him. Okay, so one thing he just said when I was saying, may the nations be glad and sing for joy. So he said that the more you show like Like, yes, it's harder to like celebrate or show joy or feel love or go above the hate and all the things that the enemy is trying to do right now. The way that you like, something about not only ignoring like the bullying or the accusation, but it's something about like he wants you to focus on joy, okay? And let him take care of things. But I know it's harder said than done, especially for those who are in the ground, because that's something that me and him were talking about, that I don't think you understand what it really means to be chosen. Like, I think I've done fasting, like maybe 3 to 4 days, but fasting for the past 80 days and eating little things in there, fasting, water, food, sanitation. Okay. So one thing that I want you to think about this, because this is a practice for empathy as well. And I need you to think this in mind. Okay. Because this is how we can get our humanity back and our empathy back, because that's what they're trying to take. They're trying to steal that from us too, by all the things that they're doing, right? And also they're trying to do that for the Palestinians, right? They can't stand that they're so faithful. They still love God. They're still happy and joyful. So whatever it is that is pissing them off, continue doing it. Okay. Continue doing it. Keep reposting, keep posting, keep liking, keep boycotting, okay? Keep donating, keep helping, okay? Continue that energy, okay? And also show joy and grace, even though whatever is going on, okay? But I don't think we understand what that really means. I feel like Christianity, the spiritual community have failed to explain what that really means, like where the real resilience come from, where our real power lies, is how are we able to withstand persecution and oppression like this. Okay, this is why he's trying to show you why they're chosen. Like, these people are still going, okay? They're still, and they're living the worst atrocity that we can ever possibly imagine. Like, I think they're only showing us what we can handle, because they're seeing way more, right? They're witnessing way more. And they also know that even though they might get shadow banned and all this thing, they still go on above and beyond for us to continue speaking the truth and showing us what we need to. All we have to do is be supported, continue amplifying their voices, and continue doing our work, calling our representative as well, doing what we can right now. Obviously now everything is closed and whatever, but the thing is, this is why they're doing the most right now, is because everybody's gonna be, relaxing and stuff like that, and they're not gonna watch the news, or they're not gonna want to even do anything, right? They feel like if they take away someone that we already, like, we know they will gather all the information, then they feel like, oh, they're gonna get tired now and then gonna get the message. No, this is why, as a whole community, because we have the power, we cannot let them take away our power. Now, they're relying on those people who are silent and ignorant right now. And this is why I'm letting you know that the more you stay silent and quiet during this time, the more the accumulation of negative karma, it will be accumulated. So God is giving you grace, even though, honestly, to be honest, you don't fucking deserve it. You don't. But I'm not God, thank God. And I'll just, let you do what you do. But the thing is, he's trying to ask us that we all need to be doing this. That's the whole thing. He's saying, continue singing. That's something that he, I think it was Witchy Itch or something like that. She said something like that, like, you can manifest anything with singing. So he wants you to manifest free Palestine, from the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. Yes, ceasefire now. Woo! We're gonna see this year, like something like that. Like, he wants you to continue make songs. All of you are content creative, okay? So be creative of your content or the things that you're doing, okay? Something about, for you, rule the people with equity and guide the nation of the earth. So those who are in that energy, equity, circular economy, sustainable development, and obviously no capitalism, eradicate all that, and white supremacy, of course, and the colonized energy. This is what we're doing. We're taking our own energy and raising the vibration of humanity alongside the dark side of what we're dealing right now. So we have to look at the shadow. We have to acknowledge the shadow. And the only way that we can overcome this and deal with this really dark, this burden, right? Because a lot of us, we feel like we have the world all this stuff in the shoulder, but imagine the Palestine, imagine Congo and Sudan, imagine them, right? So this is something that I practice that you need to do. Imagine right now during Christmas, if you didn't have all the things that you are privileged and benefit right now. Do it. Me, he already gave me an example with my fridge. I'm able to put this stuff on the top, but I know that all the money that I spend on buying food for my kids right now might be in jeopardy. But it's okay. I know God got me. I trust him. I know but he's letting me know what will happen if you didn't have any food. What would happen if you didn't have any water today, or electricity, or have a comfortable home that you can be, or clothes, to be able to change clothes, even be able to use a bathroom, to shower. Basic necessities. Like, think of these things that you kind of like take for granted, and you think that, brushing your teeth, taking a shit in a clean toilet. Yeah, I said what I said. Yeah, think of these things. This is empathy, right? So this can trigger what it needs to be triggered, because there's no way in hell that 8 billion people, we don't have like all the planet right now on what's going on in Palestine, on what's going on in Congo and Sudan. There's no way, unless you're getting paid to do this. That's all I can think of. Like, what? This is what I'm trying to say. Like, money is not worth this type of karma that comes when you're not being obedient to God. I don't know, man. Now, this is why I say Palestinians are the chosen, because I'm telling you, none of us were able to survive what those people have survived so far. Congo as well, Sudan as well, all the other ones dealing with genocide at this moment. Merry fucking Christmas, right? There's no way that we can celebrate like this. It's something beautiful that my daughters also have been doing, just praying over, the children of Gaza every night near the Christmas tree, Like, teach your children how to pray and how to be citizens now, good citizen, good human beings now.
So today we're going to be talking about human shields. The way in which this comes up is, in the law of armed combat and in international customary laws of human rights and armed combat. Generally, there's supposed to be no civilians killed, and militaries are supposed to fight militaries, soldiers are supposed to fight soldiers. But sometimes in armed combat conflict, one side or the other will use human shields, and that's defined as a crime through the Geneva Conventions and a bunch of other customary rules for armed combat globally. So that comes up in a situation where one side decides to use civilians by either moving them or by moving to where civilians are located in order to shield themselves from attack from the other side. And so it's defined as a war crime. There's elements to it just like any other crime. So that's what it is intended to be, is a sort of criminal punishment and criminal prosecution and punishment for individuals or groups that use this tactic, because what it does is it puts the humans that are being used as shields in danger. And that's why it's considered a war crime, and it's designed to sort of protect civilians from being used in this way. So when we talk about the way that it's coming up over the last couple of months, and it's probably going to be coming up for years, it might even come up as sort of like an attempt at a defense to killing civilians in actual war trials, war crime trials. So, I think that what we need to understand is that there is no justification for killing civilians. So when we hear media pundits and politicians saying, well, the death toll in Gaza is high because Hamas is using human shields, or any other resistance group is using human shields. Well, the way that it's sort of like spun and the way that it's intended to be delivered to the audience is that somehow, because Hamas committed these alleged crimes of using human shields, that somehow gives a green light or permission to go ahead and slaughter civilians. And that's just not true. There is no justification. Slaughtering civilians is a war crime, and genocide is a war crime. But even if it didn't even amount to genocide, but just killing civilians in general is a war crime under internationally accepted conventions. So it is extremely disingenuous for media pundits and politicians to bring up this human shields argument, because the human shields argument is intended to be something that protects the civilians, yet they're faking that they're interested in, worried about the well-being of the civilians, but instead of actually caring about the well-being of the civilians, they're actually using it as a justification for the slaughtering of those same civilians that they're pretending to be so concerned about. So if they were really concerned about the civilians, they wouldn't bring up Hamas using them and putting them in danger of being killed. They should be more concerned about the people that are actually getting killed and trying to stop the people who are killing them from killing them. Now, the other consideration that comes up, and this is not an internationally sort of accepted, customary human rights law thing, but the United States and Israel and several other countries, I'm not going to name all of them because I didn't actually research all of them, but they use this idea that if there is an active shooter or an active rockets being fired or some sort of danger, that they can go and target civilians and even hospitals and elementary schools and all that stuff. If there is an active imminent threat, then they have to go in and determine, is it okay to kill these active combatants given that there are civilians around? And then they do a proportionality sort of analysis, and it has to be proportional even if there is an active danger happening. If there is no active danger, like, hey, somebody came into this hospital, they posted up for 10 days and then now they're gone and there's no actual shooting coming out of there, there's no intelligence indicating that they are actively, good intelligence that people are actually fighting from civilian premises, then there is no right to kill any civilians. The proportionality only comes in if there's active combat happening from those locations at the time in which the strike is taking place. So for example, if you're the type of government or military that believes that it's okay to go after an active combatant, even if civilians are going to die, that would come up in a situation like, let's say, for example, on October 7th, as the resistance fighters were abducting people and trying to take them back into Gaza. If they were attacking them at that time, then the civilians that were in that area and might have died as collateral damage in those sort of military activities, that would be something where they would look at the proportionality. But what it does not include is if you don't know where they're hiding, and if you think that they're underground, 50 meters underground, and you have a massively dense civilian population above ground, you can't bomb the civilians on top of the ground, because they're not even going to reach your targets underground. They're not going to destroy the weapons caches. They're not going to, destroy the militants that you're going after. So, the proportionality happens during active combat where there's both sides and you know where your military targets are. So if you know where the resistance fighters are with certainty, then you can do that. But you can't just sort of like, shoot fish in a barrel and hope that some of the fish that you get are the terrorists you're looking for. So, that kind of thing requires the proportionality analysis. But bottom line is, anytime you hear a media pundit or a politician saying, but Hamas used human shields, well, that doesn't matter. If you care about the human shields, they're not shields, they're not actual inanimate objects, they're humans, and if you care about them, then you care about them and you don't want them to die. And being used as a human shield will never be a justification for their mass slaughter.
So yeah, there has been a lot of that, And this is also what we're dealing with, censorship. Like one of posts I just noticed today, actually I didn't know, but I saw it today on my business side on Writers Yep IGA. They took one of the posts from, and I was just like, wait, but why? That is the truth. Like it was a specific post that anyways, it's just it's very weird. But then again, this is external, because the more we see the videos and we see them right away, or that we're involved in this situation, the more you know and you are aware. Like they can try to erase whatever, but we know those who, the more we see, this is why we're telling you, it's not just about yourself. It's not about, like, this is why it's so sad that a lot of people have this mentality. Like you're constantly that much thinking about yourself. Like your ego is that fucked up. Sorry, God. Sorry. I don't understand. I don't get it. Where is your heart? Okay, will this be the last video that make you guys wake up and like be like, what the fuck? It's never too late. That's another thing I'm learning from other people. They're giving you guys grace, because I'm just like we know you're watching. This is the weirdest thing also. Like you don't need to be a psychic or anything like that. And I just reposted on, if you look at my TikTok repost, someone said that to me thinking like, oh, that's a Sanji for sure. She's like this. And I thought it was funny. Maybe I'll put it in the description below. Or just look at the repost. It's like this lady giving this fortune telling, and this guy on the side, he just like duet with her. But I think his expressions of her, like what she's saying, it's on point. And this is something that I aspire for. And also to allow people to see behind the dog what's really hidden. That's my purpose. This is why we get heavily attacked. Truth tellers, real ones. This is our normal. We are asking you just to join us just for a little while until we can get this done, because it needs to be done. This is like laziness 101 on the part of everyone in the world, thinking that whatever is happening in the world, it's not our problem. That on itself, that belief, it's a problem. Don't you think? I'm making you think. I want you guys to think. My community, people who are here in this community, you freaking think. You're not conform. I'm not here to influence or tell people, no. You're making your own decisions, of course. But remember, free will has a cost, and it's high. Just because you think you can do whatever you want, or, try to go against, we know it's already wrong, right? We don't need anybody else. We know God. Those who know God, you know God, right? If you know God, but if you don't, get to know him on your way. I'm not here to induce anybody's way. I just think that having that direct access gives you a huge leverage, because the fact is, we all still thinking that the war that is going on, which is not a war, is genocide. We have to use language correctly, okay? It's important. It does affect in movements and campaigns and things to eradicate something that is very toxic and demonic, right? You are seeing it. It's in your face, especially those who know where I know you're watching. Is it entertainment for you? Is that what that is? Do you like the videos? Or do you just keep on scrolling? That's the question that I'm asking to specific people who are in the spiritual community or Christian. If this ends up landing in your page, or you pretend that you don't watch me, or that you don't see my content, that's fine. I hope that you're okay with that delusion. I wonder if you understand or know what psychic means. Maybe you should look it up. I feel like a lot of people miss that part. I just didn't know some of the stuff, because not everything needs to be said or seen or important, but sometimes, God shows me just so that I'm aware, because that's what good friends do. People that love you, people that care for you, they will always protect you and defend you. not jeopardize you or silence you or try to erase you. There's an ethnic cleansing right now, and we are silent, at least some of us. We cannot do this work alone. This is what happens when I was starting the climate activism and stuff, and it was very difficult because you need a large amount of people. This is like, obviously that's bigger, global, which obviously should be, because we've been telling you this for years now, that climate change is actually everyone's issue. Racial justice, environmental justice, war, crime justice. We need to scream out loud, genocide convention, ASAP, ceasefire, free Palestine. This is not okay. Are you okay with this? If you're okay with that, I need to write it because I'm a writer. I'm going to write this stuff. And and no matter what they do, remember it was a computer, now is the fridge. And I just laugh, and I understand now. There's something stuff in the Bible, in the Quran, and in the Torah, and all the books. God talks to all of them. It's just that we put the division, or let them put the division on us. You have to learn how to play the game and play it better than them. Thank you, Spirit. You know what that means. I can't speak too much here because we all have to speak in riddles now and stuff like that. I don't know, maybe codes. Maybe I should learn some Arabic. I don't know. I don't know, but it's just very interesting. Like, people are very, like it shows like how humanity have really lost it, like, for real.
Let me tell you about the cost of Israeli apartheid. Like real numbers, not emotional arguments, not even something from history that we might disagree about. Palestine as a whole, or what's left of it, in the West Bank and Gaza, spent $18 billion in 2020, and 72 cents of every dollar spent by a Palestinian citizen was a cost forced on them because they live under apartheid rule. Things like $4.2 billion a year in higher water prices because they're not allowed to dig their own wells and manage their own water supply, or $1 billion a year in higher electricity prices, or $4 billion a year because they're not allowed to mine the Dead Sea, to have tourism, proper road networks, or international trade. These are not my numbers. The source is in the caption. But imagine someone asked you to pay 72% income tax and forced you to live in a stateless condition under the scrutiny of constant checkpoints without proper access to water or electricity or any viable economic opportunity. What would you do? How would you feel? And how long do you think it could go on? This is modern-day slavery, brought to you by an apartheid system that needs to end.
Alright guys, so this video popped up in my feed when I was looking for the editing to add credits to everybody here, and this one popped out. Okay, so it was like 4 hours ago by the time we're the 25th December 2023. Okay, this is what they're doing. This is some type of like football field or something, and they're like getting people, like men and women, naked. Okay, like what? Like, are they trying to be like that time of the Nazi? Like, what kind of sick joke is this? Like, this is weird, right? And we're supposed to see them as a victim? Like, come on. Are you kidding me right now? Like, how many videos or evidence do we need to give you? And this is filmed by themselves. Like, they filmed themselves. Like, there has to be something wrong in their mind already to make videos, like content, as if it was like some type of movie, or I don't know. This is so weird. Like, this is something that in writing is going to be, yeah, I'm writing this. So yeah, so this video was actually exactly right now. We are, what time is it? 1:37. We are the 25th of December, 2023. And today has been very difficult. So whoever finds this message is for you, okay? And I'm speaking with someone who's like real, okay? If you're not, that's okay. But we still need everyone on board Like, you know, I can't believe I'm quoting this because I don't really give a but time to pull up. Like, for real, dudes. Like, let's speak it up. Like, we should have tea, you know? I'm thinking of making a live about this because this is crazy. This is on daily. And I know a lot of you are like, oh, I need to protect my peace. I can't deal with negativity right now. Do you know how fucked up that is? That you're thinking that way or saying it out loud? I know it's going to trigger a lot of you. You're going to feel some type of way. It's like, oh, how did you know that? No, it's just, it's an energy. It's common sense for us on the other side. It's just like, really? You benefit from all these benefits. You can create movement. You can do things for others. You can put your time and space on something that is important right now, that is not only can clear your own negative karma that you've done, not only this lifetime, but past life, but also like not taking in consideration. It's not about that either. I don't really care about that. I care about the people, the people suffering and pain and dealing with all these atrocities and the killing. Like, this is not normal. So we're just gonna let it happen. We're just going to stand by and let this happen. Where are the leaders right now? They can't control their demons, can they? Ah, wait, this is where God comes in. Do you get it? Us, also prayers. Like, that's what I'm going to do, maybe a live of prayers. We could just pray. This is crazy. It's not normal. I'm just saying, I'm trying to relate with other people. Like, you're not alone in this. Like, our mental health, but imagine theirs. Like, that's why for me, my mental health doesn't matter. Their voice, like, it's just like, there's no way. Can you survive what they have survived for 80 days? I need you to be honest with yourself. You can put it in the comments or just write it for yourself. Can you imagine living without those things that we talk about here? Here's beautiful Wizan. I think I learned to love her. You know, so I ask God to protect her, to keep her safe, to and anybody who comes to her, to give her peace, to give her protection, to give her love, and has been, you know, an energy exchange. So this is something that I'm calling also light workers. I need your help. We need to constantly in meditation, or not constantly, but at least dedicate like 15-20 minutes. You need to visualize their protection, the things that they need. We have that power. God gives us that power, but also us, we're like, oh, but I don't feel like doing it. I don't have time for that. Prayer is very, very, very strong when it's in union. And come on, guys, the enemy knows this. Why do you think is trying to target all the things that are sacred, that comes from a real heart, right? The real spiritual kind energy, where things just sacred, you just don't touch those things, right? And there should be a law, a restriction about this, and also a way to stop this when it gets out of control, because I feel like they're getting out of control.
If you're like me, you've gone from watching dog rescue videos and crying to watching children being pulled from the fucking rubble and crying. That's what we've gone to.
هاي راسه تحت هاد شايفه؟ ايوه ارفع بقاص. حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل. طفله واخوها بعدين ساعدونا يا شباب. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل. في من ورا ايوه البلد. يلا يلا يا عمو هات. يلا يلا يا عمو. اسد انت اسد. جدع هيو متحمل اسد. بسم الله بعدون ثواني يا عم من غاد ما شاء الله طفل برمل بسم الله بسم الله بسم الله الله اكبر الله اكبر سيب الله اكبر الله اكبر الله اكبر الله اكبر الله يحميك حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل يلا عمو انتوا كل الرمل يلا يا عمو يلا ليك ماما تعال سيب
For a lot of us, what makes this so unbelievably deplorable is that we know how racist it is. We know that this is the result of so much effort to turn people against people they know that they are oppressing. You know, like, this is not just like, oh, it's two countries going to war and people are caught in the middle. No, these people are put in the middle, and it is being supported. It is being supported in so many ways, and by so many regular fucking people too. We can't even just say, oh, it's just the work of the leaders who are megalomaniacal maniacs. No, like, some of you motherfuckers are maniacs, and you think this is okay. And you will tell yourself that because they are brown, it's okay, or because they're Arab, it's okay, or because they're Muslim, it's okay, or because they're Palestinian, it's okay. Like, you'll tell yourself that. And then I gotta go to the fucking grocery store with these people. I gotta go on Instagram with these people. Like, that's bonkers. Like, it's not even just money. I feel like there's a certain part of us that can even grasp, like, capitalism and how shit gets fucked up in capitalism. And this isn't even just that. This is just pure unadulterated hate. And it is supported and held up and propped up and bolstered and buttressed by capitalism. Which at this point seems almost like it's esoteric, but it is very real. I will never cease to be amazed by this kind of hatred. Ever, ever, ever. God, strike me if I ever am. Strike me down. I don't want to ever be desensitized. I don't want to ever be like, well, are you surprised? I want to always be fucking surprised and outraged.
We're not justifying anything. It's just that we have to show you the truth so the visual can actually activate the intuition, the truth, right? Truth always louder than lies, and much, much louder than sometimes love is actually higher, right? So when we do things with love, it comes with a universe reciprocation, because you are letting go of that ego, the attachment of things that me, because those things, I'm not saying is bad. I'm not saying that it's something wrong. It's just that you have to learn the time and the place. Like, you're all day in, like,
I'm going to say something controversial. Your cognitive dissonance will attempt to deactivate your critical thinking the moment that you're triggered. I'm not trying to offend you, but I don't give a fuck if you're upset. Seeing all the Christians posting how they can't condemn Israel because it's the promised land and this is the will of God made me think about the indoctrinating scripture of raise a child up in the way that they shall go and they will not depart from it. Because 90% of the people sitting in the pews of a church are not Christians. They're atheists. They're not followers of Christ or followers of the Christian God. They're followers of man. The only thing they believe in with all their heart, mind, and soul is the fear and consequence of going against said man. As a former Christian, I was told all the time that when you're outside of the will of God, you don't feel close to him. But I didn't feel close to him when I was living within what I was told was the will of God. And my greatest fear in going against God was the way that I would be treated after doing so, because I saw how Christians treated people and thought about people that didn't think like them. But if that's all you've ever known, then you don't challenge things, which helped me understand why the church has always been so dismissive of mental health and therapy. Because if that same child finds out they were raised up using abuse and fear-based tactics and not the will of God, they may then begin to question the other wills of God and find nothing but the flaws of man. But if they find out that one of the flaws of man is using the will of God as a concept to keep Christians in a dissociative state of complacency, so they just turn a blind eye during crimes against humanity instead of feeling the weight and burden of morality such as guilt, shame, and accountability, 3 vital things to make sure you don't participate in shit like a genocide, all that thinking may make them realize that they don't want to fight in the army of the Lord. I can see the comments now. She's just a devil worshiper that doesn't believe in the teachings of Christ. Christ would never approve of an ethnic cleansing in a promised land handpicked by the same men that keep cosplaying his daddy for the sake of capitalism in a country that keeps you too poor to ever visit said land. But go off.
I'm not judging anybody. I just think that we all could be doing this work as well. It is beneficial because we're being cyberly attacked and we need more people, especially those who have a heart, say that you love Jesus and stuff like that, and now you feel kind of weird to participate because you have been silent for the past 2 months. I don't care about that. Just start. It doesn't matter. Anything. Boycotting, protesting, something. Anything of those things does help. Reposting, sharing on your stories, okay? Go on my TikTok repost, check it out, okay? There's information in the description below of everybody that, you know, check out. You can look at my following as well on IG, okay? But there's a lot of attacks there for sure, which is why it's getting to a point now that I kind of want to build something outside of this, to be honest. But I guess that's just me talking. I don't know. It's just, I feel like it's not free speech. It's not something that we can like amplify, like it's very restricted or very limited, just like they are, their minds, you know? And that's what I'm trying to say. Like light workers, use your spirit, your mind, okay? Your things that you learn, the shadow work, this is the time to use it. I understand that you have your readings or whatever, whoever has a prophecy message, I don't care. You can do those after. Focus on things that we need to help out right now so that we can have that stable life and equal life, right? Right now we're expecting what? What are you expecting really out of all of this, especially those that benefit from this? What's your expectation? You're really trying to build homes on top of massacres because some of your parents did that in the past? What kind of ancestors are these that you're listening to? I don't give a shit anymore. All I think about is this is wrong. And we need to call it out. We need to say it. We need to use our authority, okay? There's boundaries and they're definitely being crossed, right? So especially with this, read it in my community board, but what? Right. So that doesn't make any sense. Right? There's like no words, right? And I talked to God about this. I'm like, I can't, what? This is so wrong. And that's why he's, anyways, it's not complicated. It's just that it is exhausting for those carrying all the weight when we're asking for the rest of the weight that is very heavy as well. Because we get it, you're guilty, you feel some type of way, and now you feel stuck, you don't know if you should continue. Yes, continue. Continue on with your life, but include this, what we're doing. Are we saving lives that we have to? This is a type of mission that you have to save an entire nation. Yes, lightworkers, this is your, my New Year's, my next year, 2024, in abundance and love and, 8 and blah, 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 that's going to save you. That everything is going to be forgotten by 2024, right? Like we hear you. It's loud and clear. Our energy is negative to you. No, it doesn't have to be negative to you if you are obedient to God, first of all. And second of all, you are real balanced, right? You are authentic about what you do and how you do things. Because one thing about God is that he loves integrity. So whatever definition of integrity you think it is, maybe you should do better research or maybe ask him. He will give you the right words, as always. Anyways, I don't want to take too much time of you guys. I hope this was insightful and it was teachable and it guide you to the way that we should be doing right now. You need to balance that Two of Pentacles. I keep seeing it. I don't need tarot cards to tell you. You see it all the time for those who watch tarot readings. Okay, you have watched tarot readings before. Now it's a different trend. You can't wait for this trend to end, right? This is not a fucking trend, yo. That's why I'm saying it, because it's in the energy. It needs to be like cleansed out, like clean. Okay, we are cleaning like the Disney princess and stuff, la 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 la. That kind of unconscious energy, it needs to be cleaned out. Welcome to the colonization 101, right? Even though it's not a fucking teaching lesson, but obviously I guess, sorry God, but it's true. I have a mouth. See, I need to work on things. He's not asking you to be perfect. You're not supposed to. What? Do you think those people in Palestine, how they're trying to survive, they're perfect? They don't give a fuck. They just want to survive. They want to live. I bet if you were in that situation, you will think, you will feel, you will want to get out and be free just like them, right? And you wish and pray the other people will listen to you and come to your rescue or something or someone. But at the end of the day, as a collective, we are Christ consciousness. It's us that is waiting for. Okay? So that's just my opinion. But then again, I know God, he keeps saying, we all come together, and this is where, you know? Anyways, I love you guys. This is just heavy conversation that I've never thought I will do in a million years, trying to explain people that is wrong for genocide, that is wrong to kill babies and moms. And I never thought that we would be in this situation where we even have to vocalize it and express it, and that is being suppressive, that is being censored. What? That's dangerous, because that means you really don't know that you are accumulating a bunch of negative, toxic karma from other people, that it doesn't belong to you. They're just giving it to you, or taking your energy, or taking your money, taking your resources, and then giving you negative karma that they accumulate, that they have. Like, I don't think you understand how heavy this karma of genocide kids with our money, without our consent. Like, I keep hearing all the time, that's true. God does not like ugly. This is not good. Yeah, words of abundance. Yeah, it's something about abundance. Like, you can manifest abundance, like even singing or talking, like that's what he's saying. Like, but those people, we can't say that they can do the same, because they're not having the resources, the living conditions, the even the sanitary conditions that are necessary. Like, ladies, where the fuck are you? You see, the Christians one that you always like, oh, sell this, sell that. Can you take your fucking page and take a donation page and say that you're gonna donate, I don't know how many pads for girls in Palestine, bitch? Like, a lot of your Christians, you all are like, oh, Christmas gift, Christmas that. Take an organization from any of the Palestinian and send them fucking pads. Yeah. Now think about it. Can you live without pads? For how long? When you get your period, for how long? Okay? Think about this. I need you to think about it. Think about it. Okay, for boys. What do I have for you? I don't know. Change your underwear? I don't know. Socks? I don't know. What is the thing that you can't live without? Think about that. And not having it for 80 days. While also not having food, not having water, not having sanitary things to clean yourself after you boo-boo, right? Put yourself in their shoe. That's empathy. You're welcome. But it's not from me. This is God. Put yourself in their situation and you will go to action. We have to move. This is not okay. Stop. It's enough. Ceasefire now. It needs to stop, right? We're not that inhuman, right? Also, we can't let these demons, like, in a physical sense, feel this entitled. Excuse me. What's going on here? There needs to be a boundary. There needs to be control. And obviously the leaders cannot take it. Then we all have to get together and figure something out. Reach me on my email. Reach me on social media. If you're ready to fix this shit and work on this, then let's go, right? Because this is ridiculous. It just is.
Hey, this is Bisan, and it's the day 80 of genocide. 80 days of killing and bombing. So, a new thing happened today. people in Khan Yunis, in the west of Khan Yunis, were told to evacuate. I mean, the east of Khan Yunis is evacuated, is invaded, is destroyed. People in the north of Gaza Strip moved to Khan Yunis. In the east of Khan Yunis moved to Khan Yunis also. I mean, the west of Khan Yunis. And now, 2 blocks were warned to evacuate. Where? To Rafah. Now, the area of Gaza Strip is 360 square kilometers. What remains for us is 151 square kilometers. Rafah. Rafah is not enough. There's no spaces in Rafah. We cannot just flee there. There's no spaces. We are in the streets. There is no spaces for people in Rafah. 2 million people. I mean, these blocks contain schools. These schools, 13 schools and hospitals. These squares are around the hospital of Nasser, the last and the largest functioning hospital in South and in Gaza Strip in general. Where are people going to go? We're talking about more than 1 million people in Rafah. Yani, just divide it and figure out how many centimeters do each of us have as Gazans in Rafah. There's no places in Rafah. Gaza is really small. Just tell us where to go. You keep bombing every single place, evacuating people from here to here, from here to here, from here to there. Where to go? There's no places. You're not telling us to go to any safe place. Tell people where to go. We are just dying.
So, I don't want to make this too long, but I think that's what I wanted to say. Yeah, I think I probably will call this Empathy 101 or something like that. I don't know, but it's just really scary. Or maybe Angel of Love. Angel of Love. 49. I don't know, man. It's like we fucked up somewhere. And now nobody wants to take accountability. Nobody wants to fix it. Everybody wants to just leave it. They want it just to go away. Oh my God, go away, go away. Right? But it doesn't go away, right? Because it won't. It has to be solved. It's a universal. I don't like how they use humanitarian crisis. It's not. It's a genocide, right? We have to be real about it. And words have power, and they know this, right? This is their tactic as well. You need to be aware of this. Words is their fucking. It's kind of like witchcraft, let's say, and you guys need to be aware of it. Very manipulative and controlling, and kind of like, you know, like a fucking snake, right? Look at their interviews. Look at their body language, y'all. Now they're probably going to have a training of how to body language defeat fake people so they don't know they were lying. It's an energy. Again, when you connect to God, he gives you this gift. There's multiple gifts that he gives, okay? You just have to learn how to master, how to utilize, and how to connect with him and keep that connection as well. While you're interacting with other people too. Like, you don't have to be completely individualistic thing, because we didn't come here, like, yes, we come here alone, but it's like, we're not meant for that. God is all about community, love, and unity, and stuff like that. And he loves that. He loves that. And I feel like it's something that we have to fight for as well. Not just when we are praying, when we're, you know, having faith and making a confirmation, or when we are, you know, doing things for others and work and things like that, like, you know, regular human things, right? Or whatever it is that it is. But those things are going to change. If for us, it's super hard, like, but it's really not. Like, they make it even harder. And I'm telling you why, right? I'm showing you why for the past 2 months, y'all. Are we paying attention? I don't know why God wants me to, like, teach or talk about things like this for people to understand, because apparently it's very hard to understand. So I'm gonna try my best to explain for other people to understand. But I think, go check out my bookshop. It's in the description below. There's going to be books there for you to read. You can choose any of them, or you can do your own research. Bookshop is a very nice. I'm not getting anything. Actually, I do. I have an affiliate with them. But it's like not that much. It's like, I don't know, It's like a percentage, but it's not. I don't know. But it's bookshop. It's a bookstore, right? And a portion of their money goes into bookstores in the U.S. I wish it was from Canada. Hint, putting out here. But yeah, but they have it for the USA and they help other bookstores. So I thought it was pretty cool. So we are affiliated because I love to read. I'm a writer, right? That's my first thing. That's why a lot of people get confused. Like, wait, are you a tarot reader and light worker? Yes, we all those things. Yes. Multi-talented people. I've never heard of that. And then I'm one of those people that grew up with people that limit you, that you have to do one thing, that you can only do one thing. And I was just like, I'm pretty sure I can do more things. And I did those things. So now, courageously, bravely, it took a while, but enough about me. I don't want to talk about me.
So now we know the reason why Israel emphasized on the story that Hamas beheaded 40 babies. Now we know why it was so important that all the media houses around the world ran with it. Why was it important? Because from the onset, Israel planned that in this offensive, they were going to target children. Now they needed a good story that is going to numb the world, that is going to take away sympathy when they start to massacre Palestinian children. They knew that if they mention that Hamas terrorists beheaded children, the whole world would be numb when they see all these children being massacred, being targeted. They targeted kindergarten schools, primary schools. They targeted children's hospitals. They targeted maternity wards deliberately. Do you know what makes this whole thing so sad? Is the media houses, BBC, CNN, Sky News, and all of them, they ran with this story. Why? And they never verified. And the White House too ran with the story. 40 babies beheaded. Only to find out that it's false. It gets even worse. Because when they found out that it's not true that 40 babies were beheaded, they never came out publicly as they announced it in the first. They never came out to say that was a lie. Nobody did a White House conference to say the 40 babies beheaded story is a lie. BBC did not put out an official communication that that story is a lie. Sky News never did it. CNN never did it. But the reporters on their Twitter, Facebook pages and whatever, they acknowledged, they said this story was false. Joe Biden on the side, not through White House press secretary, announced and said these are unverified reports. So you are saying unverified reports. BBC goes with unverified reports. So it means it's a report, but it's not verified. But they're not saying it's false. This is so sad, ladies and gentlemen. So sad. So sad that Israel prepared the world for the massacre of children. They were going to target children deliberately. And they wanted the world to be numb. They wanted the world to have no sympathy when they hear that 17,000 children have been murdered. And much of the world has no sympathy because they are still holding on to this story that Hamas beheaded 40 babies. What a sad thing, Israel. I'm a Christian, but I've never been so angry with Israel. I've never hated Israel so much. I've grown up to love Israel. I've grown up to love. I had a personal book called My Book of Bible Stories, where you have stories of David, stories of what, but I've never hated Israel so much like I do now. And had it been that this is indeed holy war, I would not be a Christian today. But because it's false, it's not a holy war. This is not a holy war. This is a political war. It's a war for resources. It's a war for land. It's a political war. And you know what politicians do? They'll drag people in. And in this case, they're using religion to drag people in, to support them and justify the evil that they're doing. Benjamin Netanyahu is a politician. There are all politicians. He's citing verses in the Bible. He doesn't even go to church. He's not even a Christian. He's the one who's even pushing the Israeli government to ban Christianity in Israel. They've closed so many churches in Israel because they consider churches to be a Palestinian thing. They're not Christians. He'll be saying the verses, oh, in the Bible it says this ABC when it suits him, when he wants to use it. That's what politicians do. He's looking for support. When he starts to bomb the Palestinians, innocent people there, he uses the Bible and he knows every damn Christian is going to stand behind him. That's what politicians do. If Netanyahu came here today to ask you, I'm going to bomb Palestinian children and babies, and this is why I have to bomb, he has nothing that he can tell you to convince you to allow him to do what he's doing. There's nothing he can tell you, nothing he can explain to you that can convince you to say, oh yeah, go ahead and bomb these babies. There's nothing he can tell you. What can he tell you? There's nothing. But he runs to religion. He knows if I say it is in the Bible, you are going to be numb to it. You're going to be complicit. You're not going to feel any sympathy. You're going to say, oh yeah, it's our religion. That's the game he's playing.
Happy boycotting. Happy putting it out there, sharing, and doing what we got to do. Like that. Save up your money. You know, boycotting saves money, y'all. Like, what? A lot of you complain about money, but you're like, hello, you can be boycotting? By Starbucks, but a long time ago, actually, I never go because I don't like it. Their coffee tastes like, for real. Anyways, but yeah, stores and stuff like that, like that's the easiest way to also, and honestly, it was someone who said that, like, lazy way to protest. It's really, because it's not much you have to do. It's like you just don't buy from these stores or find something else, a different alternative, and then just stick to that. But also you save money, you know, and also you learn to have self-control. Like, that's another thing. That's their skill. The Palestinians is self-control. And a very beautiful confidence and self-esteem, right? And then resilience, that it has to be from God. Like, it's not from here, for real. Like, land back, okay? Decolonize. After ceasefire, land back. That was so wrong. I'm still like, it's weird.
What's happening in Palestine is actually the biggest proof that there is a God, because this life is completely unfair. So there must be a moment everybody will be held to account for their actions, which is in the hereafter. And so to the Zionists who say, where is your Allah, where is your God? Our Allah is here. He's witnessing everything that you do, and it's up to you to decide if you want to repent or you want to continue being a transgressor and being held to account in the hereafter, where the decision is for eternity.
We will be okay. Despite the immense blow we have endured, we the Palestinians will recover. We will rise. We will stand up again from the midst of destruction, as we have always done as Palestinians. Although this is by far maybe the biggest blow we have received in a long time, but we will be okay. But for those who are complicit, I feel sorry for you. Will you ever recover from this? Your charity and your words of shock after the genocide won't make a difference. And I know these words of shocks are coming. And I know people will give generously for charity. But your words won't make a difference. Words of regret won't suffice for you. And let me say it, we will not accept your apology after the genocide. What has been done has been done. I want you to look at the mirror and ask, where was I when Gaza was going through a genocide?
Well, you guys, I'm just gonna go and play with my kids, draw some stuff. That's creative as well, being creative, or just spending time with your family. You know, that also helps a little bit, to get back to it. Like, rest is productive, you know, but it's also productive when we're being good citizens of this planet. because whatever is freeing from Palestine, it frees all the other, not only the genocides, but also the other situation that we're dealing with, fossil fuels and stuff like that, who are also mass murderers. Like, they're funding this thing, right? But they also are stealing oil and riches and stuff like that from other countries. The same countries where they have genocide and they're in refugee camps, excuse me, definitely imperialism and capitalism, right? And we definitely need to decolonize, because this cannot go on. 75 years plus 80 days, I think it was 80 days today, I don't know. I don't even know anymore. And I'm sure like them too is like, we don't know what day. Wait, what? It's 80, it's 79, 79. We don't know. It's the weirdest thing. There's a lot of mental and spiritual stuff going on. Well, I see it too. I know, I'm sure a lot of you who are watching tarot and stuff like that, you're like, fuck, there's some, yeah, you hear it. Like, they're telling you. God will allow that window when it's ready. So if it's ready, if you've been hearing it, then yeah, He making sure that that is going to be solved out and clear out, because God is a God of vengeance, but also of balance. That's where Earth, our planet, needs to be balanced. So if we're in balance and everything else is in balance, we're going to have a problem with our home, our planet. Do we care about that? Or we are already like it's weird not having snow on Christmas. It hasn't snowed. It's been like gloomy and gray around here, but that's what it is. Like, she feels her children. Pay attention to the weather. Some of you in the really Caribbean stuff, you don't really feel this way, or you don't see it. Maybe there's more rain or something like that. Gaia is speaking too. During winter months, yeah, it's been loud, very loud.
Hey, where was Jesus from again? Right. This Christmas might be awkward when I'm among the wine and dine. Some people will remember Jesus was from Palestine, and he looked just like the victims of this genocidal war that we're watching on our screens, but some are choosing to ignore. He said, go and love each other just like I've been loving you. Now it's time to love your brother. What are you gonna do? Oh, the irony, the tragedy we witness every day, while the innocent keep dying. We just turn the other way. You don't need to know the history, the reason or the rhyme, to look at what is happening and know it is a crime. Feel your heart, make a choice, do your part and use your voice. Yes, the truth is hard to bear, but what they need is that we care. Merry Christmas.
Like, she needs to recharge. She needs to heal too. She was like, yeah, this is too much, right? So continue the fight. I love you guys, and free Palestine.
Today I brought you some like fresh gossip, like out of the oven gossip, like freshly baked gossip. Let me tell you. You may have heard about those two young men who helped in closing the wounds of many injured people in Gaza. They were widely praised for their amazing work in fixing the deformed faces of Gazan children and adults by the Israeli bombing that is funded by the US. But one of them is not even a doctor. A couple of massacres ago, Ali met Muhammad. They first met in a massacre. Ali was very helpful for the medical staff and injured people, so he decided to volunteer with them due to the shortage of the medical workers. Doctors noticed that Ali did not fear the bloody sides or the torn up limbs, so they taught him how to use the surgical suture. He would receive the injured patients, stitch their wounds, and get it checked by a professional doctor to confirm the discharge. Ali doesn't only work with the actual wounds, he also helps with the emotional ones. Ali stands beside any survivor who is taken out of the rubble, and he volunteers to be their companion until anyone from their family or friends arrives. It takes people over 5 years to learn such skills, but Ali did it in 70 days. After he graduated school, Ali dropped out from university and decided to seek his own business and opened a clothing store. Now all of his store is gone by the Israeli bombing. Ali did not choose medicine. Medicine chose him. And now Ali has a plan. When the genocide ends, he wants to obtain a degree in medicine and to become an official certified doctor, to work without anyone's supervision. And all the doctors out there need to watch out, He's too cool to be around you guys. So you are blessed.
And all the other countries as well, because once Palestine is free, then the other ones can start slowly but surely. But I would suggest much faster than slowly. So it really takes our input, it really takes our actions, and it really takes us to, signing petitions, boycotting, and do it when we got to do for others, right? And see if we can donate whenever we can to the right organizations. I have some in my link on my IG, okay? But also, I can look it up yourself. Some of the reposts on the TikTok that usually have those, most of those people have links for you guys to donate or to sign petitions and stuff like that, okay? But other than that, I love you guys. Keep fighting for justice. Keep speaking out for justice. Hold on to God first, okay? And then let him work, but you do your action too. This is why we have to also tap in. Whenever you can, meditate or do these prayers. It doesn't matter. This is another thing with the Palestinians. They are pros. They pray all the time. They know how to do. This is their life. The Quran is very interesting. They're all interesting. They all have their own spark, their own way to get to him, because there are multiple layers. But God is very easily accessible if we learn how to tap into that and maintain it. It's like a cord, right? So this is also the energy that I kept feeling, that people are trying to not only break your protection for some of y'all, or create disconnect from you and God, and they're doing it externally by what you watch or things it's not interesting. But you have to see through. You have to see through and then see how can we fix this? How can we heal this? What would I do if I was in that situation? That's it. Put yourself in their shoes, right? They have shown us the magic of showing you what it feels like to be them in their life through social media. That's why it's so powerful. And that's why they're being attacked. And that's why we have to protect them, right? Yeah. Why do you think doing this type of work is easy? A lot of you, that's what you're thinking, that a lot of us, it just takes us 2 seconds to do. No, this is mental, emotional, sometimes financial, sometimes, physical and stuff that we need to prepare ourselves in order to. And also most of the time we are either connected with God or connected with reading or connecting with channels or writing channel messages. Or for me, this is different. And then I also have my job, I have my daughters, so a lot of us have multiple things to do at once, but we still have managed to come through and do the things. And I know that when we start doing this work, for some reason, God allows time and space for you to do those things, because he knows you need the time and focus to do that. Just think about it. That's it. And then take action, because you have to take action. Okay, we cannot continue doing this more than it should. Okay?
Okay, I need to talk about what's going on with our journalists on the ground in Gaza, whom are literally in fear for their lives every single minute of every single day. And it's not just their own lives. They are in constant fear for the lives of their families, as they are all being specifically targeted by Israeli forces. And whoever denies that claim and still thinks they are just unintentional casualties of war is an utter imbecile, lacks any ounce of moral judgment, and is a flat-out racist bigot that has zero value for Palestinian life. But for those openly bigoted and ignorant individuals out there, I'll break it down for you to further expose your stupidity and make it nearly impossible for you to ever utter any argument against the deliberate targeting of journalists, which is a blatant war crime, as journalists are protected under international humanitarian law against direct attacks. Targeting journalists constitutes a breach of the Geneva Conventions, and furthermore, intentionally or indiscriminately attacking civilians, including journalists, is a war crime. So let's get started. 101 journalists have been killed in 78 days. What does that mean? This means that 1 to 2 journalists per day are being killed by the Israeli forces. And this does not factor in the many family members of journalists that they have already killed to deter the journalists from covering the genocide taking place in real time. According to the International Federation of Journalists, over 73% of the total number of journalists and media workers killed globally so far in 2023 have been in Gaza, and it has now been deemed the deadliest place for journalists and their families in the entire world. Mr. Mustafa Hayyash, the founder and director of the Gaza Now news agency, was killed along with at least 8 members of his family, including children, in an apparent airstrike on his house in El Nusayrat camp on November 22nd. And on December 9th, an apparent airstrike on the home of Ms. Ala Atallah, a prominent journalist in Al-Daraj area in the eastern Gaza city, was killed along with 9 members of her family. And on October 24th, Al Jazeera viewers witnessed correspondent Wa'il al-Dahdouh receive news on air of the killing of his wife, son, daughter, and grandson. Wa'il was just targeted himself and injured a few days ago on December 15th, along with his colleague Samir Abu Daqqa, who was shot and left to bleed to death due to Israeli forces blocking medical aid from getting to Samir. Wa'il not only survived the attack with injuries, but he went on air the next day like a boss to report on the continued atrocities by the Israeli forces. He did the same after he heard of his family's death back in October, because he understands that their journalistic voices are limited and dwindling by the day, and he'd rather die reporting the truth than live silent or lie like our Western news media cowards and racists. And yes, I'm looking directly at you, CNN, ABC, CBS, AP News, BBC, Sky News, and our forever lost cause Fox News. You are all the most shameful, as these journalists in Gaza are supposed to be your brethren, your family, who no matter what you should stick up for and report the truth in their honor, as they lost their lives upholding the sanctity of truth and journalistic integrity. Something you lot can never say. So shame on all of you who have been disrespecting the profession and those who are significantly more noble than you, who have lost their lives doing it right. So let me put this into perspective for you. I'll repeat again. 1 to 2 journalists per day are dying at the hands of the Israeli apartheid regime. So let's create a scenario for you right here in the U.S. for only the next 10 days, which is a far cry from the 80 days Gaza journalists have gone through thus far. What would you do if on Monday, Anderson Cooper was murdered? Tuesday, Wolf Blitzer and Katie Couric, along with their entire families, were murdered. Wednesday, Lester Holt and his entire family murdered. Thursday, Christiane Amanpour, murdered. Friday, Sean Hannity and Diane Sawyer, murdered. Saturday, Joe Scarborough and Rachel Maddow, murdered. Sunday, Tucker Carlson, murdered. Monday, Aaron Burnett and Dana Bash, murdered along with their entire families. Tuesday, George Stephanopoulos, murdered. And Wednesday, Bill O'Reilly and Megyn Kelly, murdered. That's about 15 journalists or news anchors in 10 days, which is equivalent to what is happening in Gaza. So here's my question. If you were watching the news and they told you that all 15 of those journalists' lives lost, along with their family members, in these consecutive 10 days, or as a result of one group's airstrikes and snipers, would you come to the conclusion that this one group was specifically targeting journalists? Let's take it a step further, and as difficult as this scenario is to believe, just bear with me. Now let's say those 15 journalists were all reporting the truth against the atrocities of that said one violent group that didn't like how they were being portrayed to the world. Would it be more obvious that they were specifically targeting these journalists to shut them up? Seriously, please answer that thoughtfully. My point is, there's nothing more apparent and more clear than the Israeli forces' purposeful targeting of journalists, which again is a war crime and must be dealt with through international law. The killing of journalists, their forced displacement from the north, and severe movement restrictions have greatly hindered efforts to monitor, document, and report on the situation in Gaza and on violations and abuses of international law. Information is already scarce due to the power and internet connectivity blackouts resulting from the IOF strikes on key infrastructures. But despite these obstacles, these journalists who endure personal loss and the lack of basic necessities along with the rest of the civilian population continue to fulfill their functions to keep the world aware of the widening and deepening horrors taking place in Gaza and the West Bank. And for this reason, we as an international population must do everything in our power to protect them and amplify their voices every single day. And before I end this, I just want to quickly say, Wa'el, Mu'taz, Bisan, Ihab, Plestia, and all you other courageous and noble voices out there sending out everything you can to us in the midst of a literal hell on earth. We love you so much. We are in awe of you. And we all know that your pinky fingers alone have more integrity than any of our Western news media pundits we have over here. You are all our heroes. We will never forget you or your sacrifices for the rest of eternity. And rest assured that speaking for myself and many others like me, I will have your back and yell in harmony with you to ensure your voices are heard louder than ever. Peace and love.